The desert wind moves like an ancient whisper across the golden sands of Kush. Beneath the blazing sun, the kingdom of Nubia rises with temples carved from sandstone, soldiers drilling with spears and shields, and royal banners fluttering in the harsh, hot air. This is a land older than Rome itself, a land of queens who fought as fiercely as kings, a land where courage was carved into the bones of the people. And from this land rose a woman whose name would echo through history. A queen, a warrior, a mother, a symbol of defiance. Her name was Amanirenas, and she was the woman who looked the Roman Empire in the eyes and did not blink. But before we reach the smoke of battle and the clash of armies, we must begin earlier, in the deep silence of Nubia, where destiny began shaping her into one of Africa's greatest military leaders. This is Black History Unlocked, your gateway to the greatest stories never told. If you're ready for truth, power, and inspiration, hit subscribe, like, and share, and let the journey begin. Amanirenas was born into royalty, but not luxury. Kushite royalty trained differently from the courts of Europe or Asia. From a young age, she learned horseback riding, archery, political strategy, and the sacred responsibility of ruling a warrior kingdom. She learned to read the mood of her people by watching their faces. She learned to judge the desert by the movement of the wind. And she learned that power was not given, it was defended. She grew strong, she grew feared, she grew respected. Amanirenas would later lose an eye in battle, earning her the legendary title, the One-Eyed Queen of Kush. But first, she would earn the loyalty of an empire. Nubia sat just south of Egypt, controlling the Nile, the gold mines, and vital trade routes between Central Africa and the Mediterranean. Rome had conquered Egypt in 30 BCE, after the fall of Cleopatra. The empire then began eyeing Nubia with a hungry ambition. Rome saw gold, Rome saw land, Rome saw power. But Rome failed to see one thing: a queen who refused to bow. Amanirenas ruled alongside her husband, King Teretakis, and together they strengthened the Kushite military, knowing a storm was coming. And that storm had a name: Rome. In 25 BCE, the Roman prefect Aurelius Gallus launched an invasion south from Egypt, but the Kushites were prepared. They knew every bend of the river, every shade of the desert, every dune that could hide an army. Amanirenas did what few queens in ancient history ever dared. She rode with her soldiers. Not behind them, not after them, but with them. She wore armor carved with Nubian patterns, a longbow slung across her back, and a spear cut from dark iron. She rode a powerful warhorse, black as the night sky, its hooves striking sparks on the hot desert rock. Her soldiers followed her willingly, not because she was queen, but because she was a warrior. Amanirenas did not wait for Rome to march deeper. She attacked first. Her forces swept into southern Egypt like a sandstorm. The city of Syene fell, then Elephantine. The Romans were stunned. They had expected submission, not a counterattack. Amanirenas' warriors cut down Roman garrisons, destroyed statues of the Emperor Augustus, and returned to Nubia carrying Roman armor, Roman weapons, and Roman prisoners. It was a message to the emperor himself. A message carved in blood and defiance. Rome does not frighten Kush. Augustus did not tolerate humiliation, so he sent a powerful army under General Petronius, who marched deep into Nubia, burning towns and temples. The Romans were more heavily armored. They carried massive shields, iron weapons, and siege machines. But the Kushites had something Rome rarely faced: archers so skilled they were feared across the ancient world. Their bows were long, carved from palm wood and animal sinew, and they could pierce armor at a distance no Roman archer could match. On the history books, these warriors were called the best archers of Africa. Amanirenas commanded these archers personally. Even after she lost her right eye in battle, she fought on. For Rome, this was supposed to be an easy victory. Instead, it became a brutal, grinding war. The desert became a chessboard of death. Roman formations collided with Kushite cavalry. Kushite archers descended from rocky hillsides, raining arrows with deadly precision. The Nile ran red more than once. At night, the flames of war lit the sky. At dawn, the desert revealed bodies half buried in sand. The sound of battle echoed across the river valley. For years, Rome pushed forward. Amanirenas pushed back. Neither side broke. There are stories told by Nubian priests that during one intense battle, where the Romans advanced with terrifying discipline, Amanirenas rode directly toward the front lines. Her horse reared, her voice rose above the chaos. Her warriors turned and saw her, robes torn by battle, a spear lifted high, her remaining eye burning with absolute fire. She shouted, "Kush will never kneel." That moment ignited her soldiers. They surged forward. Rome staggered. The long war and the hard decision. After years of fighting, Rome held portions of northern Nubia, but they could not push deeper. The heat killed their soldiers. The archers shredded their formations. Supplies could not reach them fast enough, and Kush had suffered as well. Towns destroyed, fields burned, families torn apart. Amanirenas stood on the banks of the Nile one night, watching the moon ripple across the water. She knew the war could continue for many more years, but at the cost of her people. Her goal was never destruction. Her goal was independence. So she made a decision that would change African history. She would speak to Rome, not as a defeated queen, not as a servant, but as an equal. A delegation from Nubia traveled north to meet the Roman prefect. They brought no gold, no tribute, no gifts, only the terms of their queen. Rome expected submission, but Amanirenas demanded peace on her conditions. No taxes, no Roman control, no occupation of Nubian lands, and a clear, recognized border between Rome and Kush. To the shock of many, Augustus agreed. Rome, the empire that conquered nations from Spain to Syria, backed down before the Queen of Kush. It was one of the few times Rome signed a peace treaty without victory, a treaty that lasted almost 300 years. Amanirenas walked away with her independence, her pride, and her empire intact. Today, Queen Amanirenas is celebrated as one of the greatest military leaders in African history. A woman who shattered expectations, who fought a superpower, and who won what truly mattered: freedom. She is a reminder that courage does not come from strength alone. It comes from belief, belief in one's people, belief in one's homeland, belief that even the greatest empire can be challenged. Amanirenas ruled 4 years after the war, rebuilding cities, restoring temples, and preparing the next generation to defend Kush. She died a hero, a mother of her nation, a legend woven into stone. And even the Romans, centuries later, remembered her with awe. In the end, her story teaches one eternal truth: empires rise and fall, but the courage of a queen, that echoes forever.
Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this journey, because history deserves to be heard.